Hi guys, my name is Kaustubh and I am finally starting my YouTube channel dedicated to my passion, which is Manchester United Football Club. I have been an avid follower of the United football from the time that I started watching football. This goes way back in 2001, 2002. I still remember that day. My father had started watching a match and I asked him, what is this team that is playing in that red jersey? Red has always been my favorite color. And he said Manchester United. And I told him and I asked him, what is this team all about? He said, figure it out yourself. Right. And that is when I started researching about Manchester United, watching their matches. Through those matches, I started learning about the history. And I think that is what stuck with me, what the club has meant over the last 120, 130 years of its existence, started from Newton Heath to whatever happened in the 1910s and 1920s, and how we became Manchester United, and the struggles of the 50s and the 60s before the Busby Babes, what we were doing after the Busby Babes, what we did, the Champions League wins in 1960s, a lull period during the 70s and the 80s, and then the magic Sir Alex coming to United and turning things around. And I think we never looked back after that, right? So it has always been my passion to play football. I used to play at my school, at my college, more into defense, couldn't run very fast. So it was always a defensive style of play for me. Wanted to be an attacker. I think every person who starts to play football wants to be an attacker. But soon I realized that that was not my forte, and I moved to the midfield. And then from the midfield, I moved to the defensive line. And I think I was happier there and expressed myself there very well. And with playing football, it was always watching football as well. And it was always Manchester United for me. I've always thought of starting something like this. Back in 2016, 2017, I started a Facebook page, which died down very quickly because I did not have the discipline to follow through creating that community. But here I am trying again to build a community who loves Manchester United, wants to share their opinions. I am definitely going to share my opinions here. And this is solely and solely my opinions, my views, what United should do, how we should probably come out of this time that is so difficult for us, especially after what we have won over the one over especially after what we won over the last 20 years, right? The Champions League losses in the finals as well, the Premier Leagues, which will be unmatched for few years and probably decades as well, right? 13 league titles in the last 25 to 30 years speaks volumes. And that is what I want to talk about. We have seen a lot of ups and downs from the last 15 years since Sir Alex has left, definitely. But during the Ferguson era, towards the last 2, 3 years, we were always struggling from a player perspective. But the man manager that Mr. Alex Ferguson was, Sir Alex Ferguson was, we always overcame that hurdle, right? So here's me. I would want people to connect with me, leave your comments. What do you think about United? And probably interact as much as we can, right? That's a promise to me that probably I will make sure I do this right this time, not like the last time when I started something. And the views will always be mine, personal. There might be instances where I am against something that is the narrative of the media, but here, that is what I want to do. Right. So sit back, watch, subscribe, comment, and let's talk United through and through. Coming to the match that we played yesterday, which was Leeds United versus Manchester United, the Battle of the Roses, right? The red versus the white, Lancashire versus Yorkshire. The match is seeded in history, and it goes way back in the 1500s and 1600s, where Lancashire and Yorkshire in itself were sort of enemies and they were always against each other. And then these two clubs rise from these two areas, and that rivalry is transformed to the football pitch as well, right? Especially in the 1990s and 2000s, our signing of Eric Cantona from Leeds directly, who won us the title the following year. Rio Ferdinand moving from Leeds to United, another thorn in this tail. Right? So the match is seated in history, and I think the build-up was there. Sadly, the match was not living up to the expectations that everyone was looking forward to. But lately, that is what has been happening with every Manchester United match that we see, especially with lower opposition. I will not say lower, but historically, the clubs that are bottom or the mid layer kind of club, we are struggling with them, especially after the performance with Wolves, right? So Wolverhampton Wanderers will probably go down as the worst Premier League side in the history. They Yesterday only they got their first win after playing 19 matches through the season, and now they're at 6 points. Out of the 6 points, 1 point is from United, right? So that tells you where we are currently. But the match was, I think, a fair result at the end of it, 1-1. After we went behind from the goal, which was again a defensive error by Aiden Heaven. He should have covered the oncoming forward quickly. He gave him space. The space was taken very well by the Leeds forward, and the shot was instinctive, and Lamens could not do anything. Right? I had very less conviction that we will come back in that match because I always thought if Leeds score first, we might not come back. But Cunha, the only or one of the only players that was part of good performance for the team. Cunha and Dorgu, I think, were the better players of the team yesterday. The creative spark was Cunha, right? And I think the goal that he scored cementifies that position that yes, he was the one who was creating chances and trying to make something happen. Other than that, I think Dorgu has been playing really well for the last three games, especially from the Newcastle game, the Wolves game, and now this. And I think that's coming from the position that he's been given a little forward role because of the injuries that we have. But I think Dorgu was one of the brighter performances that we saw yesterday in our match. Other than that, I think the performance was so. Wouldn't say that we deserved a win, right? I think if you have to say someone who deserved a win would be Leeds with the kind of chances that they started creating in the second half of the second half, right? First half was pretty even. But yeah, I think Dorgu and Cunha were the star players for us. I did not expect that this will be a draw. I was expecting this to be a loss for us because Leeds is in a very good form. They have not lost any match for the last seven Premier League games. They drew last with Liverpool, I think at home for Liverpool, without their two strikers, Calvert Lewin and the other striker whose name I'm forgetting. But they both were rested in the Liverpool game and Liverpool still got a draw. And today or yesterday they were starting, right? So it was always a tougher task for United to contain Leeds and get a point. So a draw is a fair result for us. We move up one space to 32 points or 31 points. Yeah. And I think now we're tied with Chelsea because yesterday night, Chelsea also drew their match with City. So we are at the same position. We could have gone above Liverpool because Liverpool's match was also a draw. But sadly, that didn't happen. Right. But I think the major picture here is that United is struggling. And that struggle is not because of the tactics. It's not because of anything else that the manager could do. I think it's because of the players that we have currently. And when I say players, I'm not saying that the players that we have are not good. I am saying the players that we are missing are that good that this is having a effect on our performance. I think we were already going to be dealing with the loss of Brian Mbuemo, Amad Diallo, Nusar Mazraoui, who all have gone to the AFCON. With that, the team had to struggle because these three have been one of the brightest, probably the two, Mbuemo and Ahmad, and Muzraoui is in itself a good defensive player, right? So this loss would have been difficult. Coping without them would have been difficult, but we had an added injury of Bruno Fernandes. With that, Kobe Mainu, who we do not know if he would have played or not. But again, if he was an option, I think he would have played. And after the Newcastle match, Mason Mount as well, right? So these three players combined with the three that we were missing, combined with Matthias de Ligt, Harry Maguire, who've been in long time absences now for over 7 to 8 matches. These are 8 players of our starting 11 that we do not have currently, right? And right now, the team that we are fielding out is makeshift, right? We have Jack Fletcher, right? We have Shea Lacey. These are all academy graduates, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, who are in the substitute bench. That is the people that we are looking to call on. Xerxes is playing in number 10 role, which he's not used to. Dorgu is playing a winger, which he's not used to. Martinez played as a number 6 when Mason Mount got injured a couple of matches ago, right? So the entire team is makeshift right now, and getting results has become difficult. Hence, we are unbeaten. I think we have just lost one match over the last 7 to 8 games, unbeaten in the 10 to 11 games that we've played, other than that loss. But that doesn't tell us the story, right? Being unbeaten means you are drawing matches or you're winning matches. If you're winning matches, that's a good streak, right? But here we are drawing more than winning. We have only gained 5 to 6 points over the last 10 games, which is a red flag in itself, right? And I think that also played a very big part because of the missing players that we have for the last 3 to 4 matches. The kind of omissions that we have from the team has taken a toll, and we have given away a lot of points from these matches. Had we gotten our star players, the first 11, starting these matches, I am 100% sure that we would have at least gained 4 to 5 more points than what we have currently, right? And I think United, I think I read that stat as well, that United is one of the teams that has lost the most number of points from winning positions, 12 to be precise, right? So imagine the 31, 32 points that we are at. With 12 more or even 6 more, we would have been at least at a cemented fourth position, right, above Liverpool, or 12 points between City and Aston Villa, that the second and third position, right? So that is the scale that we would have probably climbed up. But yes, that is the situation right now. And I think lack of players is hurting us. Today, I was reading that the AFCON dates for these players to return has gone even further, because all the three countries, Morocco, Cameroon, and Ivory Coast, are doing well. I think all of them have won the round of 16 for themselves, or either two of them have already won and one has to play. So that means they will go to the round or the quarterfinals and then probably the semifinals as well. And we might have to wait for these players to come back. Fernandez and Mason Mount probably would come back in the next 7 to 10 days. That is the hope. And once they do, that is when we will realize what the team can do finally. So yeah, I think overall the performance by the team was decent. There were some good performances, as I mentioned, Konya and Dorgu. Haven, he was our player of the month. He was the man of the match last week. But yesterday, his mistake is what cost us that goal. I think he had to be a little more sharper, and this is probably his experience showing a little, right? He's still a young kid, he's still learning, and I think he will be a very good defender going forward in the future. But yes, you also have to swallow the things that you do wrong, right? And I think he will own up to it and probably come out stronger in the next games. So here's to that. Other than that, yes, 1-1 was a deserved draw for United, probably less deserved for Leeds, but for United, yes. So yeah, currently we are at a steady fifth and sixth position, similar points like Chelsea. The next match, which is again one of the lower bottom table teams, which is Burnley, right? It's away game. I am again a little queasy. how United will perform, what will happen, what is the team selection that we will have. We don't know that. The team selection will be boosted if Fernandes or Mason Mount are back in training, right? That is what Amorim had said. Let's hope one of them at least is back so that we have a little more fluid, the front four or the front five. Otherwise, we always depend on Cunha to make some chances, and it's becoming a little difficult for him. Um, I hope Sheshko starts connecting well with Cunha and Mount in that game. If Mount is playing, Sheshko needs more time. Sheshko needs more instinctive killer instincts that he is probably missing right now. He missed a sitter yesterday with, I think, in the first half. I think that should have been a goal. He missed the sitter with Newcastle as well, with Dorgu giving him a pass directly in the center circle. And he missed that. Not the center circle, sorry, the penalty spot. So yeah, Sesko also needs time. Let's hope with Burnley he comes through, right? So all in all, good point for us, not a good week for us, not a good position for us. But here's to hoping that we turn a corner again in the next match, Burnley. That's a brief view of what I thought our performance was with Leeds. I'm hoping that Burnley we have a better performance. We have not been doing well with lower side, lower oppositions in the table. And I think that is where we are lacking conviction, and conviction in the form of how we play, what are the strategies that we have, what are the tactics that Rubenamorim is deploying. And I think that all will be tested with Burnley again. So that's about it. I think I will catch you in another of these videos previewing the Burnley game. And once we do that, then we will probably know what are the team sides that we will probably pick, how we're going to play, more on the tactics on that match. Till then, if you like the video, please like it, subscribe to my channel. I would love to have the first 10 subscriber in the next 1 hour. Here's hoping, right? And GGMU.